Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 234. We're recording this on Sunday, November 26th, 2017. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
What's up, everybody?
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everyone.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hi, everybody.
Happy post-Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
I'm still stuffed.
Right? It's because you have leftovers for like ever, and so then you have them for lunch, and then you have them for a snack, and then you have them for dinner, and then you have them for lunch again. And yeah, it's like the food just lives in infamy for a few days.
Well, I think I'm hungry right now, like ready to have dinner. Like,
yeah, I think that finishing off the last of the leftovers tonight, so that'll be it. And Monday's a new week and new day, so that's it for the leftovers.
Diet starts Monday.
Right in time for Christmas.
Diet starts Monday.
And New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing. I feel stuffed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, diet starts Monday, right? Yeah, tomorrow. Okay, sounds like a plan. So I need that. All right, guys. We got plenty to talk about. As always, we'll end the show with our I Challenge You segment. We're looking forward to hearing from Michelle, who will have her chance to talk about Justice League a little later. Since she wasn't here for our show last week. But first, we'll jump right into the box office numbers. Normally, I would start off at maybe just the top 5 or the top 10, but this week I'm going to start oddly at 11.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay.
So down at 11 this week was a new film from normally actress, but this time around writer-director Greta Gerwig made a film called Lady Bird. It stars Saoirse Ronan and what's her name? Laurie Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Michelle and I both saw this week at our local art house cinema here in the Orlando area. And it's been getting a lot of rave reviews. I talked about it on the show a little bit last week. I haven't checked this week, but last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it was like at 100%. And I'd been hearing a lot of good things, so I was pretty pumped about seeing it. I think you were too, Michelle.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good word out there about this one.
It's kind of a coming age kind of story with Saoirse Ronan playing a girl in, I don't know, what kind of school is it?
Oh, she was at a all girls Catholic school.
Right. Well, no, it wasn't all girls. They were like separated, right? Or
yeah, I mean, there's the boys' school, which was separate.
They just go to.
It's like two schools, but they join up together for their dances and that whole religious thing.
That whole thing.
I don't
managed to linger for the past couple of hundreds of years or whatever.
Yeah.
Laurie Metcalf plays her mom. And what'd you think about it, Michelle?
I mean, I didn't really have a grand idea of how this film was going to be, but again, I did go into it knowing, this is getting some really good word of mouth, really good chit chat I'm hearing, and I'll say it doesn't disappoint. It was a really nice story, I guess is the best way to kind of put it. It's kind of refreshing, I feel like, to have a story of this young girl's coming of age, because it's her last year in high school and she's still pulling herself together and trying to figure out who she is. But the writing is really good. The comedy is really strong. And it's interesting watching her and her relationship with Laurie Metcalf, played by her mother, who was played by Laurie Metcalf. And it's funny because they're both two very strong-headed females, and they butt heads a lot. But there was a lot. I think a lot of people can find moments they can relate to with this character that she plays, which is Christine, but she likes to be called Lady Bird. That's why the title of the movie is Lady Bird. But it's interesting. Like, I had this moment, like, I'm watching, they're in a thrift store and they're having a conversation that starts to turn into an argument. And then there's this moment where she pulls out this like dress. The mom pulls out this dress and she's like, "Oh, I like that." In the middle of the fight, they both stop and are like totally like life is fine. Like there's like they were literally just kind of at a raised, tense moment, and then also it was like, oh, that's really cute. I like that. Yeah, I should pull that. And then they go right back into it again, and I'm like, oh my god, I've totally done that with my mother. Like that's the relationship we have. Like we could be kind of in this, serious discussion, and then have this total like little cutesy mother-daughter bonding moment kind of thing, and then jump right back into the discussion we were just having. Like nothing. Like it's this weird thing that I think happens sometimes. But I don't know. I liked it. It just, and it's a good film, like it just, the story unfolds at a really great pace, and it's something that I think, like I said, I think anybody can relate to certain aspects of her personality or moments that she's dealing with in finding herself and who she is, and realizing what it's like to actually like get from that phase of, oh, my adulting here, like, oh, I'm realizing what choices I've made and what lays ahead of me, and I'm grateful for certain things. Like you start realizing things, as you get older, and these things start clicking in your head, and it's interesting to see that kind of stuff happen. But yeah, I thought the performances were really strong. It's good. I liked it a lot. I came away very happy with that film.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint at all. It's really solid. There's part of me that maybe was like, oh, since it seems like this film is primarily about the relationship between her and her mom, is it something I'm not going to really relate to, But that didn't really matter. I mean, maybe someone like you might get more out of it, with your, comparing it to your relationship to your mom. But I mean, yeah, no, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. Like you said, all the writing's really good. All the acting's really good. It's just constantly entertaining. I was never bored with it at all. Definitely check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. It's a really entertaining trailer. It gives you a really good sense of what kind of movie this is. Yeah, it's solid. It's definitely worthy of the Rotten Tomatoes score it has. And,
totally.
And Saoirse Ronan, man, I mean, she, I would say most of the films she's in, she doesn't use her Irish accent. And again, I mean, man, she can do an American accent. No problem. Like I don't feel like once, a lot of times when someone's doing an American accent, you might hear a few words come out here and there. But for the most part, I mean, I never noticed anything. Like I
didn't notice anything. And the thing that's really impressive about that is that a lot of the conversations, the speed of the conversation was very quick and almost on top of each other, especially like if there was an argument or something, the actors would be arguing like you do normal life. You kind of talk over each other, and so things would get really heated and conversation would speed up, and her accent was solid the whole way through. But yeah, I mean, like when I say I think anybody, even a guy, could relate to some of the aspects. Like there's moments where she's with her mom and her mom's like, look, you need to have this moment of adulthood here. We're broke. We're not going to be able to do this. You need to understand how this is in the world.
Right.
Like everybody's had that moment of conversation with a parent when you're around that age, in some aspect of another, be it money, be it future, be it choices, whatever. And finally the parent's like, look, I'm telling you like it is. Like you're going to have to grow up now. Like we can't sugarcoat things anymore. There's no more protection around you. Like you have to start realizing what reality is.
Right.
And so it was just kind of, I mean, I'm not saying she does it in a nice way, but it happens. Like you eventually start having a much deeper relationship with your parents when you start really having realistic conversations with them about what reality of the world is. I don't know. It's just interesting.
So yeah, Lady Bird, quite good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So it expanded it a bit this week. It's at 791 screens, so it's a little wider.
Yeah.
So there's a decent chance there's a theater in your town, wherever you might be listening from, that's playing it. But yeah, if there's somewhere you can see it, I recommend checking it out.
It sounds as though you and Michelle enjoyed it more than I did.
Oh, did you see it?
I did see it.
You didn't enjoy it that much, huh?
Why didn't you say something? Oh my goodness.
I was waiting for my turn.
Oh.
Usually David says, did anybody else see it? And then kind of gives someone else, an opportunity to speak up. But I felt like he was getting ready to transition. So I was like, oh, better jump in there. So, yeah, I did get to see Lady Bird. I actually went into it cold. I didn't see anything previews-wise for it. And I had only heard about it. I knew... how did you say her name? Saoirse Ronan?
Saoirse
Saoirse Ronan. I knew she was in it, and I am familiar with her work, and I will agree with you guys in that she pulls off the accent perfectly because I was just reading this article on Variety.com, I think, about, or maybe it was Vanity Fair, but it was all these different women from these different movies that were recently released, and they were just kind of talking about the industry and everything. And at a certain point in the interview, some of the other women were emulating, say it again, David.
Saoirse.
Her name? Saoirse's accent. And I guess it's so heavy and thick that sometimes they couldn't even understand her. So for her to go from being in her natural Irish dialect to being able to speak English in such a matter-of-fact way that you just would not know that she's not from America or from the United States. She pulls it off brilliantly. So I absolutely give kudos to her for that. And the portrayal of the role, she does really well in the role. But I think for me, whatever the reason was, the standout to me was Laurie Metcalf. And granted, she plays a similar type character sometimes in different roles, but she does it so well, and she's so believable, and she pulls off this mother that cares but doesn't always know how to express it in the right kind of way, more so than you see in other movies. But she just is really, really good in this. And what I was saying was I think you guys really absolutely loved it, but I liked it a lot, but not maybe to the level that you guys did. Because my problems came in an area in which I think that Michelle had no problem with, because she enjoyed the pacing, and I kind of had the reverse feeling because the movie moves so fast through this year of her life that I started counting how long the scene was lasting. And it wouldn't last no more than 20, 30 seconds before they moved on to another thing. It's like they were afraid to let the scene sort of breathe and just live with it for a second. It would be on to the next thing and on to the next thing. A series of quick cut scenes cut together into a whole movie to fit a year of her life into this film. And I don't know, it just moves too fast for me. I would have liked to have seen it play out a little bit longer, especially in certain scenes where it was really effective, but it was just kind of on into the next thing. And that kind of hindered the experience for me a little bit. But the movie itself and the story I really enjoyed. And I think the only other thing, but this is more of a story point, it doesn't relate to how I enjoyed the movie or didn't, but I just know that if I had been her character and that was my mom, I would not be doing this podcast today if I talked to her the way she talks to her mom, because she says some things to her mom that, I just would not have a head.
Your mom would have smacked the lips right off your face.
Yeah, I would not be here today because there's no way. But other than that, their relationship is very tumultuous, and they do a good job of showing that and displaying that. But there's still that love that's there. And I don't know. I know David's gonna vehemently disagree with me here. As a matter of fact, I know he will. But I actually enjoyed The Edge of 17 more than this one, but I did still enjoy Lady Bird.
Oh wow!
Jesus. Oh man, that hurts.
I knew you would.
Seeing that The Edge of 17 is a bad movie, that I'm gonna disagree with you. Sorry, that was harsh.
Don't be sorry.
We all know you didn't like it.
How we feel.
No, wow.
No.
I got nothing there. I couldn't disagree with that more.
I know you couldn't.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I'm like, what the hell is he about to say?
I know how you feel about that movie. That's why I was like, I know you're going to vehemently disagree with me, but it is what it is. I did enjoy Lady Bird. I would still give it a good rating or tell people to go see it, but I just didn't enjoy it to the level you guys did.
I'd like to see Laurie Metcalf get a supporting actress nod. I think that she would be totally deserving of it with this role.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, all right. Moving on to top 10 now. Number 10 this week was 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I want to see that movie so bad.
Yeah, so do I.
It's so bad.
I don't believe any of us have seen that. Correct? No.
No,
All
didn't
right.
have enough time.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, check that out too. But moving on to number 9 was Roman J. Israel Esquire, starring Denzel Washington. Bobby, you saw this week.
I did see this one. You know what? It was on my radar, but it wasn't something I felt like, oh, I have to go out and rush and see this movie. It just kind of looked like another Denzel movie, and I would say that the basic premise of the story is Denzel Washington is playing this attorney that really only it does mostly the paperwork for the attorneys that generally are in court. He just kind of is the behind the scenes doing a lot of the fact checking and doing a lot of the groundwork for it. But he's forced to kind of come out of the shadows and be in court for a particular case. And it's something that's not necessarily his strong suit because he's more of a social warrior in his past. And he's trying to reconcile that with being more in today's standards and trying to be more of an actual quote unquote lawyer than just trying to be on the side of the righteous. And he gets involved in this particular case that has some ramifications in his life that ends up getting developed throughout the rest of the movie. And it ended up turning into being something I completely didn't expect when I saw it. I just figured it'd just be sort of standard fare and a little bit more along the lines of what you typically would want to see or expect in a Denzel Washington movie. But his character, while they don't specifically come out and say it, he feels like he's a little bit autistic. And so he has these tendencies. And one of the things that he's able to do is remember all these different facts and numbers in his head. And so he's playing a different type of character. And this is also written and directed by Dan Gilroy. And the last movie that I saw that he did, I can't remember if he's had any since, but the last one I saw was Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, which I really loved. And so seeing him write and direct in this, who also features Colin Farrell. He's in a more supporting role in this movie as well. I just ended up liking it, but I wouldn't say people need to rush out and see it. I would think if you're a Denzel fan and you enjoy his movies, like whenever they come out, you just sort of go and support him. He would be one of those old school actors that as soon as you see his name attached to something, you would go check it out. Then it's suited just for you to go see it, but it's not something I would say really is a standout of any of his other performances or is going to get him nominated for anything. It's nothing like that, but it is a solid story. It took me into a direction I wasn't expecting. And so I would say on that level, I would recommend going to go see it.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that one, Bobby. Moving to number 8 was A Bad Mom's Christmas in its 4th weekend release. And I still don't think any of us have seen that one. Right? Right.
No.
All right. At number 7 this week.
What was that?
Sorry.
It's just like moving right along since nobody's.
At number 7 this week, an animated film, The Star, from Sony, with almost $7 million. I'm also guessing none of us saw that one either. And at number 6 this week was Murder on the Orient Express in its 3rd weekend release, pulling in $13 million. Yeah, we've talked about that one in the past. So
Yeah, we did. But you know what? There was some good news this week that came out.
Which
is that it looks like there is going to be a follow-up to Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, yeah?
Apparently so. Because I know Bobby and I both were kind of... We enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And we both were kind of like, oh, they hinted at a possibility. And I guess they were happy enough with the numbers this film pulled. But it looks like the second one is a go.
Sweet.
Which is awesome. I mean, I don't know any of the details of it, but apparently it is a go. So yeah, sorry.
Cool.
Totally random note.
Not random at all.
Fits right in.
Yeah, fits right in. Moving to number 5, Daddy's Home 2 in its 3rd week.
I almost watched the first one this week.
Really?
I almost gave in the other day and fired that bad boy up because it's on Hulu right now. Hulu or Amazon? Hulu. Yeah, that almost happened.
Was that because you wanted to see the second one, or you just kind of was interested in the first one, never got to see it?
Man, I'm bored and I don't really know what I want to watch, but I want to watch something. Do I want to laugh or do I want to cry? I don't really know how I'm feeling.
Both if you watch
like
it.
I was right, yeah, probably. And I was just kind of like in this weird mood where I'm like, I don't know, do I want to watch a chick flick? Do I want to watch an action movie? Like I was just so like wishy-washy. You know, when you have those days where you're just like, I don't know what mood I'm in. I'm just, I'm here. So I was kind of debating. I'm like, maybe do I want something to make me laugh? I don't know. And then I don't even remember what I think I fell back onto something else. But yeah, it almost happened. Something I started up over the past weekend when I wasn't here doing a show with you guys.
Which is? Go ahead. We'll just.
I mean, we can finish the box office. It's fine.
Oh, come on.
I know.
You don't have to talk about it for long if you don't want to.
I won't talk about it for long, but I know this is going to be good. So, there's a show that many female members of my family are very into and have been talking about for a long time. They all been wanting me to see this show. So this weekend, I was in a house full of all these female members of my family, and they're all telling me I should watch this show, and I wound up having...
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I'll guess.
Oh, yeah.
Please guess.
Okay, go ahead. Wait, you want me to guess?
Yeah.
It's God, the name escapes me, but it's the show about the girl that goes into the past and she's from World War II or whatever. But I can't think of the name.
Yeah. So I had a day waiting to go to my cousin's wedding. I had a whole day, and I was like, all right, let's fire this bad boy up. And sure enough, yeah, I'm kind of sucked into it.
Which is?
And so the show is Outlander.
There we go. Outlander.
Yeah, it's about this woman named Claire who is a nurse during World War II, and then the war ends, and she and her husband go on kind of like a second honeymoon through Scotland. And while she's in Inverness, this really random thing happens. You know, she goes to like this like little stone formation, and then she winds up getting transported. When she touches the stone, she gets transported through time back to the 18th century, and through a series of events, winds up meeting, you know, this guy named Jamie, and then they wind up married, and then wind up really falling for each other. And man, shit just keeps happening to this couple. I mean, it's the best way to explain it. And I don't know. I will say I was very skeptical of this because I was like, oh God, is this going to be like watching like a dirty romance novel book kind of thing, you know? Like, I'm like, oh, is it going to be really like that? And I will say it ebbs and flows in and out of that. There are episodes, there'll be like 2 solid episodes in a row that really have nothing to do with kind of like a dirty romance novel book, you know, those cheesy $3 things you find. And it'll be really great acting. The story's really going well. And you're like, wow, this is fascinating. And then it has an episode that I guess kind of kowtows to what the women want. And it's, you know, muscular, naked dudes and sex scenes. And they're good. I'm not denying I don't enjoy watching those episodes. But I will say, like, it's definitely, you're watching it. I'm kind of like, oh, I feel like this is just kind of playing up to this image in a way. And then it goes back into really good storytelling. I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. You know, like, this is really, it's a good story. So, yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. It's just like, oh God.
Just own it.
So in. I'm in.
Wow.
I'm in.
You fought it for so long, Michelle.
I did. I mean, and I don't say I fought it. I just really kind of was like, meh. But yeah, this weekend, my family members, they got me into it. I'll say I've knocked out a lot of it too.
There's only what, 2 seasons? 3 seasons?
So it's all weird. So this is what's so weird about this show is, I guess technically, so they did season 1 is season 101, and then there's season 102, and then there's season 2, and then there's season 3, and then I think they just did season 4. I can't remember anymore now. No, so season 2 and season 3. So there's basically 4 seasons, but they're calling it 3 seasons, where season 1 is
broken up. But there's the same amount of episodes in both sides of that, which is weird. Like,
I don't. It's hard to explain. If you go to IMDb and you look at it, you'll be like, oh, okay, but it's weird. I don't know why they don't call that second half season 2, because it's a whole season. Like, they're both solid season. It's weird. Anyways, I'm in what is officially the second season, but for me it's basically like I'm in the third season is what I'm in right now. So, anyways, I'm sorry.
No.
Totally. Yeah.
Nothing,
So
nothing
instead of watching Daddy's Home, I wound up going, nah, I'll just watch some Outlander. I'll just watch more Outlander.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right, moving to number 4, Thor Ragnarok in its 4th week with about 16.8 million. Doing pretty well for itself. Number 3 this week was Wonder. In its 2nd week, dropped down to 3rd with a little over 22 million.
I'm slightly curious about that film.
I am and I'm not. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm kind of not.
Yeah, I'm where David is.
Well,
I'm more leaning towards I am, but
I feel like for me what it is I feel like I haven't seen a good like tearjerker, softy film in a while. Does that make sense?
Feel good movie kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't know. I think there's just something about it when I see the trailer. I feel like this movie's trying too hard or something.
Everybody needs a Simon Birch every now and then, okay?
All right. All right, number 2 this week, Justice League in its 2nd week. It dropped down about 57% to number 2, pulling in a little over 40 million. We all talked about this in depth last weekend. I say we all minus Michelle. Michelle, you were not here, unfortunately.
I was watching Outlander.
But you have seen Justice League as of today.
Yeah, I'm fresh off of it too.
So, what did you think without spoilers? Since we're probably not going to talk about spoilers right now, but I take it first of all, it sounds like you listened to the episode, so you know what we think.
So I listened to your guys' episode, so I know exactly where all of you kind of fall, and I think I'm somewhere in between Yasha and David. Because I think if I was listening correctly, it was basically Bobby liked it the most, then David, then Yasha, and I'm somewhere in between David and Yasha. That makes sense.
I feel like you and I were pretty close. I thought we pretty much agreed, but I don't know. Maybe I have to listen to the episode again.
Okay, so anywho, basically, I will agree. I feel the second half of the film is a much stronger portion of the film, but I will say I definitely went into this movie going, oh God, this is going to be a train wreck. Like, I was definitely like, oh God, like, I'm praying for positive things to happen. And there's some good stuff. But I think there's just not enough good stuff. Like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like there was some things that were just kind of thrown in. And I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, why would you say that line? And then later, I'm like, okay, I guess that's coming back to that later. And then the movie ended. I was like, oh, I guess we didn't go back to those 3 things. I just said that just to say that.
Well, now
I guess.
I'm curious.
I know I can't really say anything.
I can't say, but I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Like there's something that I just lost my brain. Alfred says to Bruce, and I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, well, I guess we're not coming back to that. Moving along, and then honestly, the opening segment for the film, I didn't like it all. And I could tell it was totally a reshoot thing. I was like, yeah, that was done later. And I didn't like it. I was just like, really? We're opening with this? Okay, maybe we're going to come back to this. And we don't never come back to that. And I'm like, all right, that was completely random.
I don't think that would be something you'd come back to, though.
I thought the theme of it we would have come back to. His opinion. Anyway, again, I can't even talk about it because it's kind of spoilery. I'm just like, damn it. Like, I'm like, the things that I'm like, I really want to talk about, I'm like, oh, I really can't. But I'll say, like, the positive is, yes, I enjoyed seeing them all together, working together. I feel that as a whole, they flowed very well. And I've said before, I'm not very familiar with the character of Cyborg, but I am intrigued to understand more about how everything kind of works with him. Ezra Miller was definitely, I think, a standout. And while I don't think Jason Momoa per se was a standout, I think Aquaman Aquaman has got me. My interest is piqued. Like, I want to see more of the world of Atlantia and the Atlanteans. I hope I'm saying this all correct. I'm using my proper pronouns and nouns. Atlantis. Okay, so I want to see more of that world. I want to see more of this backstory. I mean, at one point they hint that they actually went to war against the Amazons, and so I'm like, okay, like that's interesting. Like, I'm curious to see how that world is. Like, I know nothing about Aquaman really either, so yeah, I'm kind of excited for the film. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, because I want to see how this all kind of comes together. And I don't know, like there's a whole conversation that happens between him and Myrna. What's her name?
It's
Mira. Yeah. So he has this whole conversation with Mira, and there's a few things that get hinted at, and I'm like, oh, fascinating. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm really looking forward to learning more about this. Like, I'm like, yes, okay, what brought us to this? Like, so for me, as weird as it is, I was just like, yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Aquaman film. And it's just, he's an interesting personality because he's definitely kind of, in a way, almost an outsider of the group with his personality. I have issues. I will agree with David. I have issues with Ben Affleck in this one. And I will say, I like Ben when he's being Batman, but when he's Bruce, I'm just like, dude, are you even there? You're just phoning it in. You're phoning it in. You don't even care. Like, there's almost a dullness to his eyes, like his face. Like, he just doesn't seem like he really cares about what's happening in the scenes. And I'm like, and I listened to the show after I saw the film, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not crazy. Like, I was like, oh Jesus, like, I'm watching him as Bruce, and I'm like, he's just phoning this in. Like, it doesn't fit. Like, every time he was in it. But then it's almost like as soon as he got into the bat suit, I was like, yeah, okay, we're back. It's on, like, yeah. And then he'd be back, into just dress pants and a dress shirt. And I'm like, oh, he's just phoning it in. Like, I'm just watching, I'm like, this isn't good. What's happening here? He's falling apart. Like, so I don't know. That was just kind of, I was kind of meh on him this time. I still think Gal Gadot is just, she's captivating. Like, she's mesmerizing. And I gotta say, every time she was fighting on screen, I was like, yes. I think I'm so all about Wonder Woman. I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm getting more. So happy. And I'm looking forward to Flashpoint. I think Flash definitely, it's always been an interesting story as a whole, but I like Ezra Miller's portrayal right now. It's good. And I'm looking forward to seeing that in Flashpoint. But yeah, I feel like the start was really not strong at all. And it really just didn't get good till towards the end. I mean, there's definitely a moment where it's like, oh, okay, I feel like there's a changing of the tide finally. Like, it's finally pulling together, but man, it took a long time to get to it. But yeah, the jokes were kind of here and there, kind of mixed. I will say I'm happy with Danny Elfman being back on the music again. Like, there's moments when they pulled up the old original score from Batman. I'm like, oh, this feels good. Like, I'm like, yeah. Like, you hear it. I'm like, yes, this feels so good. Like, I'm like, this feels like Batman. I mean, like, there are moments when the score would come in and it was just done really well and just felt like it flowed with the scenes so much better. And I was just like, I feel so much more comfortable with this music, with this movie in that way. So there's a lot of times when I was like, oh, I feel more settled. But yeah, I don't know. That first half was rough, and I still have issues with the second half. I did not like. I take it back. I kind of am indifferent to the villain itself. I hate the CGI of the villain. Was horrific and just bad. It was not good. Very, very bad. And I feel like the grand fight scene, while there's moments in it that I think are good, I think overall the major in-fight scene was kind of generic and kind of lacklustery in a few moments. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like it could have been a little bit better, but I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on this one. I mean, it's definitely better than Batman versus Superman. Like, hands down, I would say, in ways. But yeah, it's, I don't know.
The funny thing when you compare it to Batman vs Superman is I agree, but in a lot of ways, like a lot of the problems too, it's I don't know. It's funny with this movie. I'm so happy that you can see the Joss Whedon influence and the stuff he did, and I'm happy with it. At the same time, I don't like the mix in this film.
It's harsh.
The film being a Zack Snyder film and a Joss Whedon film at the same time doesn't work. And the things that are good about Batman vs Superman is that it is purely a Zack Snyder movie, and there's a lot of stuff in it that really worked for me on its own individual scenes, and I'm like, oh, this is good stuff. So I don't know. I agree with you, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, there's certain aspects of BVS that I like more, just because I don't know. It's just, hey, I'm just being a Zack Snyder movie, and
yeah, I mean, no, I'm with you. Like, there's definitely moments in BVS that I think are good, and I will say I think that Ben Affleck is better in that film than he was in this one. Like, there just was a connection with him. Like, even when he was Bruce in the other one, he connected really well with the character. In this, it just seemed like he just was, I don't know, he just wasn't there. It was just bizarre for me in that way, and that's the best way I can describe it. It's only, I'm like, I just don't feel like he was there when he did this one. Right. But yeah, there's some good one-liners. There's definitely a line that said to Batman that Yasha pointed out in the last show, and I was like, and I will say, like, when that line was said, I was like, oh, wow, that's deep, dude. Deep. Man, you just right for the jugular there. That's good. It's good. It's so good. So yeah, like there's things that I liked. There are definitely things I liked, and there's definitely things I did not like.
Oh, I get it.
So
absolutely.
But yeah, I have to say I would like to see more Justice League, and yes, I am looking forward to Aquaman now, Flashpoint. Like we're going in a direction, and I hope they keep going in this direction. But man, they got to start pulling it together a lot faster than they are.
All right. Thanks, Michelle, for your thoughts on Justice League. Number one this week was Coco, new film from Disney Pixar. Pulled in $49 million over the 3-day weekend. Since before Thanksgiving, it's got a total of 71 million for the Thanksgiving weekend. That's what?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I believe the only person who saw this, if I am correct, is you, Bobby.
Man, it seems crazy that I was the only one who saw it, but I guess so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wanted to see it.
I was gonna say, I think everybody wanted to see it. It's just that it's Thanksgiving weekend. It's a hard, like, I don't know. I think some Thanksgivings, I'm like, wow, I have a crap ton of time on my hands, and I can do anything I want. Another Thanksgivings, I'm like, wow, where'd that weekend go?
But didn't Yasha, didn't you say you weren't really that interested?
I went back and forth. I mean, I'll watch it because it's Disney Pixar, but I'm not in a real rush to go out and see it.
Right.
The first movie I think that they've done, aside from like Cars 3, where I'm just like, yeah, I can watch it, but I'm in no real rush. So that's where I'm at.
Well, Bobby, how was it?
Well, before I get into my thoughts, did you guys hear about the controversy with this movie?
I can't say that I have.
Nope.
So apparently, I guess when they screened the movie, when they screened it for critics, they left out a part that was in the film. Well, I guess I should say it was at the beginning of the film, which is a 20-minute adventure of Olaf. It's called Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
Oh, like a little short?
Yeah, the shorts they always do.
It's 20 minutes long?
Yeah, I was going to say it's not really a short when it's 20 minutes.
What?
But yeah, so apparently a lot of people didn't know about it going into the movie. So all over Twitter and different articles this weekend were popping up about how people were upset because they weren't expecting to go see 20 minutes. You get like 15, 20 minutes of previews, and then all of a sudden this thing comes on, and you're thinking maybe it's one of those things where it's a short and it's going to last maybe 4 or 5 minutes, right. And it keeps going and it keeps going, and people are like, what is this? Like, what's going on? It was so bad that when I went to the theater, they had a sign on the outside of the box office where you buy the tickets, and just a little paper sheet sign that said that the Olaf adventure lasts 20 minutes, just to let people know that they had to sort of buckle in because they
Right.
were getting this whether they wanted it or not.
Oh, could you
And
imagine having like a bunch of little kids and being like, okay, we're just gonna go in and we're gonna see this movie because it's an hour and probably what 30 minutes. How long is Coco?
It's an hour
yeah,
49.
It's an
not
hour 49. That's a long movie for a kids movie. Fuck
Yeah.
dang.
that plus a 20
Plus a
minute
20-minute?
quote unquote short.
God, I would kill myself. I'd slit my wrist in the theater. Oh, sorry.
the
I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking. Going in with like 4 kids, I'd be like, oh God, I want to kill myself now.
So it depends, because I'm not exactly sure how everyone is counting it, but when I looked on the movie time for mine, it was saying it was 2.5 hours, and I know 20 minutes of that was the Olaf thing, and then
Right.
you got your previews, and then you've got the movie. So yeah, I think maybe they might just be counting specifically the movie on IMDb, but
Well, that's what I'm assuming. When I see 149, I'm assuming that's just Coco.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that probably is correct. But yeah, so apparently I guess it was supposed to have been a TV special that someone had got the bright idea. Well, instead of just putting it on TV, why don't we throw it on the front of Coco?
Yeah,
And
I had heard that it was going to be a
what
TV
happened?
special. I'm surprised to hear that it's in front of Coco.
Yeah, they decided sort of last minute to not do that and put it in front of Coco. So that was a whole thing. But as far as the movie itself, I was where Yasha was really with this movie. The previews for it didn't look inspiring in any sort of way. And it just looked like there was a movie that came out not too long ago that seemed had the similar theme of Dia de los Muertos.
Book of
with the
Life?
day of, yeah, exactly. And so I was like, I didn't see that one, but this one looked similar in that theme. And so I was like, really, what, can they do that's different? I hadn't seen the other one, but it just seemed like how many different ways can you tell that story? But apparently they can, because I actually really, of all the movies I watched this weekend, came out loving this one the most. And this was
Oh.
probably one of the it's pretty. I haven't sat down and thought in my head where I would rank this, but it's really, really good to a point where I just wasn't expecting how good it was going to be. And the basic premise is about the kid named Miguel who comes from this family who, for a long time, have banned music in their house because of something that happened in the past. And he's the one lone person in the family that really has an appreciation for music. And so he ends up taking this guitar of this very famous musician in their area and gets transported into the land of the dead. And it's about him discovering himself and his heritage. And it's done really, really well and told with a lot of heart and in the way that Pixar knows how to do, pulling at the heartstrings. And I'd say, Michelle, if you want a movie that tugs at the heartstrings, you definitely would want to check out Coco, because it does that pretty well. I just really thought the animation looked good. The music that they use in the movie was good. The story was very, very well told. I really enjoyed the story of all the elements. It was so good in terms of how this unfolded. And I would say if people weren't already going to go watch it, go watch it. But it looks like it's doing well on its own. And I think the word is spreading on it. So it'll do just fine without my recommendation. But yeah, absolutely. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I really wanted to see this one. It's if I had had any additional time this weekend, I would have made it happen. I'm gonna see if I can make it happen this week. But I was trying to get Justice League in first. But yeah, this has got to happen.
I wanted to see Coco, but the Thanksgiving weekend it didn't happen. I will say I'm glad to hear about this short beforehand, because that answers my question of, am I taking my son? No. I'm not. Because I was considering it. I'm like, maybe Coco, he might be into it. Maybe I'll do it. But now that I'm hearing that, it's like a 2.5-hour experience, that's not going to happen.
No way.
The movie for me, it started I've watched it this morning. It started at 10. And I just, knowing about this, I sort of, I guess, stretched out my time before I went into the theater. I walked in maybe around 10, 18, 10, 19, somewhere around there. And the Frozen short had just started, really. And so I was like, crap, I thought I could maybe miss most of it because I didn't
Mm.
know whether or not they would cut out some of the previews in order to put this in, or if they would
Disney
show the
cut
same amount
previews.
of previews and then show this. So yeah, it looks like I caught it right at that. And I didn't want to wait too long because I didn't want to walk in all super late and be a disturbance of some sort. But the problem with reserved seating, and if you don't show up when your movie starts, is that people assume that you're not coming, and so someone inevitably sits in your seat and you're just like, hey, it wasn't there polite about it, they'll get up and whatnot, but they usually say, hey, someone's not sitting there, I guess I'll sit there or
Right.
do something or put my coat there or something. And so I had to deal with that a little bit. But yeah, I would say there's no real way to get around it unless you want to come in essentially 40 minutes
Yeah.
after the time of the movie starts.
No, because I mean, I knew about the Olaf thing, but I did not know it was that long. I had no idea. So that's crazy to me. They would put
Yeah.
that in front of. I mean, again, if Coco had been really like just a 1 hour 30-minute movie, okay, I guess I could see it. But,
Yeah.
but
That's stretching it, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
And it's funny too, because you would think, okay, we're going to do this because we really want people to go see Coco, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, Frozen has such a following, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of marketing for this Olaf's Frozen adventure.
I've only really heard about
yeah.
it from Josh Gad's Instagram. That's why I was
Right.
like, oh yeah, he's doing. They did a show, like, because he was, and even he was kind of saying it's going to be a show on around Christmas time. It's kind of like, oh, well,
Yeah, and
that's cool.
I feel like that might have been because of the last minute decision to throw it on there. Because you think you would see the marketing where they would say, as you're watching Coco, the preview for it, and they say, and a special treat, you'll get 20 minutes of Olaf's adventure, or whatever,
Right.
right
Yeah.
before in the commercial. But no, there was none of that.
Yeah. I mean, I saw most of the marketing, like watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was like the very first inflatable, whatever you want to call it. And then,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
they
oh,
kind of,
oh,
they
the-
talked about it a little bit. Olaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started the parade this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Bobby, for your thoughts on Coco. That rounds out our box office numbers for the week. Anybody watch anything else they want to talk about real quick before we get to our final segment? I have not. I'll say that right off the top.
I mean, I confessed my Outlander. My sins are clean now.
I mean, I guess in my adventures of watching random kid stuff, I've seen now Despicable Me 3 for the most part. But I mean, it's really nothing to talk about, so I've got nothing there. Nobody. All right.
Well, yeah, sorry, I did
Oh.
have one other.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a chance to check out a movie that I'd been hearing a little bit of buzz about, and it's actually on Netflix. It's called Mudbound. I don't know if you guys had heard about this movie.
I
It's
have.
directed. Oh, you have, Yasha?
Yeah.
It's directed by Dee Reese, and she did some other movie that I actually haven't seen, but I heard was pretty good before, called Pariah, but I'm not really that familiar with that film. But this movie, it takes place around World War II, and it's about these two families. One is white, one is black, and they both live on this farm. And the black people that live on the farm, it's after the war, so they're not slaves or anything, but they're kind of just on this land and still have to work for the family that lives on that land. And it stars Carey Mulligan and Garrett Hedlund, Jason Clarke, Jonathan Banks, and Mary J. Blige. And and Jason Mitchell. And it's really, really good. It was different in the way that a lot of times when you see movies that deal with either issues of black and white or racism or World War II, it's told in this sort of grand scale or these very much absolutes. And this isn't. This is very much a more intimate tale of these two families, and especially about there's two sons from the families of the one white family and the one black family, and both of them served in World War II. And even though you're in this era where racism is still thriving, the two sort of bond through their mutual circumstances of having gone to war, but in that time that would have been completely frowned upon. So it's this whole intermix of these families and how they're at each other, and even within their own family have disagreements and things about the way life is just in everyday rural America during that time. It's actually it's in Mississippi, I think it takes place. So it's very interesting, and I thought it was done and told in a way that I hadn't seen before, from a perspective I hadn't really seen before. So I enjoyed it a lot. It's pretty heavy, but that kind of comes with the territory. But it was on Netflix. I heard good things about it. I watched it. I liked it. And if you have Netflix and are interested in it, I'd say check it out.
Cool. All right. Well, if that's it, I guess we'll move into our final segment. I challenge you. For those who have not heard it before, each week, one of us is challenged to watch something we've never seen before. I was challenged last week by Bobby to watch The Jungle Book, the live action, if you want to call it that version, that was, I don't know, when did it release? Last year?
I think it was well, maybe. I thought it was 2 years ago, but I could be wrong about that.
I feel out of touch now, like with how long ago it was.
It
was 2016.
2016.
Yeah. I wanted to see it. I never did. But yeah, I watched it today. This version, for those who don't know, was directed by Jon Favreau. Stars a live action boy, but for the most part, everything else is animated. All these animals in this film. A lot of voice talent in this movie for sure. Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, Idris Elba, Lupita Nyong'o, Scarlett Johansson, Christopher Walken. Definitely a bunch of talent in this film, and I've heard good things about it, and it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I wasn't blown away by it or anything, I would say. I don't know. Like, so what? I've seen this now. I've seen Beauty and the Beast, the live action version of that. What other live action stuff has Disney done now? I never saw Cinderella.
There was well, I guess it depends on your definition of it.
Pete's
but
Dragon.
Yeah, I guess there's that. I didn't see that.
And does Maleficent count? I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah.
I never saw that either.
I enjoyed Maleficent, and I liked Cinderella too.
Yeah.
I heard Cinderella was good. That was by Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed Cinderella. I was even surprised that I was like, wow, I didn't think it was like that much.
I feel like I'm forgetting one, but I guess I'm not. It sounds right. I don't think there's anything else. But no, this was good. I mean, it's interesting to do something like this to see what looks like real animals talking. And part of me is like, I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm not really sure this needed to happen, kind of thing. Like, it's one thing to have an animated film and animals talk, okay, but when you're this looks real and they're talking, I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'm buying into this. Like, I mean, am I making sense? But at the same time, I mean, overall the story, it was enjoyable. And I mean, a lot of these characters with the actors they had voice in them, it worked, especially Bill Murray doing Baloo. I enjoyed a lot. Christopher Walken as King Louis is interesting for sure.
oh wow!
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that.
So yeah, you haven't seen it then, right?
No, I haven't seen it. I know it's on Netflix.
And I don't know, just that character too, of all the animation, that character in particular, I feel like stands out. Is just very, very well done. I mean, a lot of it is, some of them not so great, especially the way their mouths look as they move when they talk and stuff is hit or miss. And I'm getting very nitpicky. Trust me. Overall, this movie looks amazing.
Was the animation good though? Like the actual animation?
Right. Yeah, it does. It looks good. I mean,
when I say animation, I mean CGI.
Yeah. I mean, especially when I think about some of the other stuff I've seen recently and CG examples that are not so great, and I think about how much animation is in this CG animation, and I'm just like, how the fuck did they pull this off?
Right.
Like, what was the budget on this film? You know, and then there's other movies like
God, those credits must be so long.
like Justice League, where there's some CG in that. I'm just like, oh god,
it's
like
horrible.
And I mean, there was stuff in Thor Ragnarok that I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, and then this is like, wow, like it's mostly pretty solid. I mean, if there's one actor as a character that I was kind of like, I don't really know if this works for me, it was probably Scarlett Johansson as Ka. That, I don't know. That felt like a weird choice.
I think it's because, I guess, when I was a kid watching the animated, I always thought Ka was a boy, was a male snake.
Yeah, I think I always kind of assumed that.
And
I mean,
so
I forget who
think
voiced
in a
Ka
way
in
it's
the
kind of like,
animated,
okay, so it's a female snake. I guess I don't know. Like, yeah.
But that's the thing too, when you're
that.
watching the film, and I was trying to do this where as I'm watching it and I'm in, basically it's just one scene, and I obviously know it's Scarlett Johansson, so I'm picturing Scarlett Johansson, but I was actually trying to make an effort, like, if I didn't know who this was, it also almost sounds like a boy talking,
Okay.
and not so much like a woman. So there is that too, which then still is kind of an odd choice for this extremely large snake, you know? So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a weird casting choice. But other than that, everyone's great in it. And the boy is amazing considering what he was probably acting against. I haven't seen any like featurettes or behind the scenes stuff to see what shooting this was probably like.
Right.
But
Oh, they're neat, dude. You should really check it out. There's neat. Like there's, I don't mean to interrupt your
oh, no,
review.
not at all. Please.
There, I saw one behind the scenes thing, and it's literally him standing on basically like a top or like, you know, like a playground merry-go-round type of thing. And it's just going in a circle, and they're, you know, he's jumping over things here and there, and they're like feeding him his lines, and he's just responding to them. Like, it was impressive to see him act against basically nothing for the entirety of the movie.
I mean, what about the sets? I mean, was this ever shot on?
No.
It was
No.
just
It was
all
all
green screen work?
Like
All
green
green.
screen or like built built
That's insane.
See, then that's
That's what was so
particularly
cool about
insane because I mean, it was one thing to be like, okay, all these animals there's just so many of them, and they look pretty damn realistic. I mean, there's no doubt you can tell, like, okay, they're animated,
yeah.
but they look pretty damn good. But then
Yeah.
if you're telling me that all of that scenery
The jungle.
was animated, then fuck it, that was incredibly good.
That's
Maybe
why I
not all of
wanted.
it. Maybe not, to be fair, maybe not all of it, but I would go so far as to say maybe 70 to 75% of that jungle that he was walking through was CGI. Like, and
Holy
he,
crap.
like the stuff that he was like in touch with, like withstanding, like imagine like, you know, those merry-go-rounds that, you know, people used to kill themselves on by spinning fast and like walking on one of those big things, and they were just moving it. So he was walking basically in the same spot, hopping over a little bush here, or a little thing there, or a little styrofoam thing there that was going to be a tree later. And that was what he was doing. I thought it was really impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I remember at the time because they were making a big deal about it when it was at D23, and they were talking about how the fact that this whole movie was shot in a building in Culver City somewhere or something like that, or Burbank, and that you see certain pieces of the footage like Yasha's mentioning. I remember seeing one where I think it was the actor. He was getting direction from Jon Favreau, and he was in. There was some water. There was like a pool of water, and there was like a log, and then everything else around it was green screens all around. And so it's like very minimal props and things for the kid to act against at times, but everything else is just from the forest to all the creatures and everything else is all digital and animated from artists. I was like, that's why I kind of was interested in your perspective of it. I thought you knew or realized that it was all, computer generated with the exception of the kid, really.
No, I don't think I realized it was to that extent. I mean, it crossed my mind at one point watching it. Like, I remember remembering us talking about it on the show, and I was watching it thinking, I feel like maybe this was supposed to be completely CG, but there's no fucking way all this was, there's no way. Like, it's just not, no. Like, it just looks too good. I mean, yeah, that blows my mind. Now I want to watch it again.
Well, it makes me really want to watch Lion King because I know obviously things have progressed in the time that they took to film that.
Right.
Right.
So now it's like I'm imagining what Lion King will look like, and that's all digital, and there's no actors in that whatsoever. So, yeah, that's gonna be insane. And from what they said out of D23, the footage that they did say, they pretty much said it looked like you were watching the animated, excuse me, the animated cartoon, but just done in this CGI form that looked ultra realistic.
And then yeah, like if that were to be the next question, like okay, what do I think about seeing Lion King? I'm still don't know. I mean, the cast looks incredible. Seeing the cast list, it sounds amazing, but I still find myself going, I don't. I mean, yeah, after what I just said about how good Jungle Book looks, there's no doubt. Of course, I'm going to go see Lion King, probably just for that reason. But then in the end, I'll find myself going, okay, but did I need this to exist or not? Like, I love Lion King as it is, and it's a really great Disney animated movie. And is it going to be weird that I'm basically getting that, but now just it looks like real life? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's a weird thing. For me.
I was gonna say. I think my question is, does it have to exist? Did it have to happen? Like, I don't know.
I think it does. And my case for it existing is, and I've said it a few times on the show, is that I never really watched the animated features of a lot of these. So the way I'm getting them first run is through these movies. And so I think there's probably a portion of the audience that's out there that's like me, that didn't grow up watching the animated films and didn't have that exposure or experience with them. And now they see that there's been turned into movies, and they're familiar with the voice actors or some of the people that are cast in the movies. And they're like, okay, I'll check this out. Maybe this is in a different format or a medium that I would like. Similar into the way that I keep telling people, go read comic books or go watch all these different cartoons, but they don't, but they'll watch the live action versions of them. And so it's like, this is for me in that sense, is that I haven't checked out the animated versions, but I'll check out the live action versions, quote unquote live action.
Yeah, and I will say with this too, and there's no doubt I've seen the Jungle Book, but it has been a while. I mean, yes, I kind of remember the basic storyline, kinda, but I was watching this going, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen the Jungle Book, so this is almost like watching it for the first time, which is kind of nice. But then that's why Lion King will be interesting, because I know that pretty well. In fact, I've seen it very, very recently, since they recently released the Lion King again on Blu-ray. And I bought that for the kids, so I've seen it recently again, and that'll be fresh in my mind when I watch the live action version. So there'll definitely be a lot of comparing in my head of what I'm seeing in that compared to what I remembered. So yeah, when is that due to come out?
And then we got Aladdin after that, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Or maybe Dumbo. I don't know which one the order is.
I don't know what the order is either anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lion King looks like 2019.
Not 2019? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I guess then that leaves me to challenge somebody, which I'll admit I'm completely unprepared for.
What? Mister, I've got things lined up for certain people.
Well, that was, I was just going to say, though, I have a couple things in my back pocket.
I always think I got my back pocket. I'm just ready to go.
I guess I'm going to go with one of those. But Yasha, you haven't been challenged in a while. I feel like...
Yasha's due.
You feel like you're due, man. Unless I know you're very busy. If you would rather not be challenged, I will not challenge you. It's up to you. Do you want to be challenged, Yasha?
You're too excited. You know what? I've calmed down a little bit on my schedule, so I should be able to complete the challenge within reason.
Okay. Well...
And the reason I say within reason, if it's something that I have to really try hard to track down, I may not be able to get to it. And that's just because I may not know where to find it. That's the only reason why I might not be able to do it. So I will accept your challenge.
Now, first, forgive me for this question, but I mean, you like horror movies, right?
Oh, man.
Just say yes.
To an extent.
Yes, to an extent. Yes,
See,
but I think we're
like...
past the horror genre now. We're past November, so we can move on to happy stuff.
Well, see, this is my problem. The stuff I had ready to go was like back in October, when I was like, oh, maybe I'll get
and nobody was challenging
and then nobody was challenging me. I'm like, fuck, come on, people. I've got some good shit. And then this one particular horror film that I have in mind, it's like, I hate to put it this way, part of me doesn't want to waste it on you, Yasha, if you don't really care for that genre that much anyway. And I'm like, maybe you won't enjoy it, because I just think it's such a good movie that's so underrated and doesn't get a lot of attention. And Michelle's giving me a look of, what could we be talking about?
What film is this?
But I don't know if I want to challenge you to watch it now. And then I'm like, well, fuck, what do I challenge you to watch? Shit.
Lay it on me, man. What do you got?
Well,
just go with it.
Just go with it then. Fine. I'm curious, and I'll be curious to hear from the others. I'm pretty sure, Michelle, you have not seen this, but maybe Bobby, you have. I don't know. But Yasha, have you ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
You're challenging me to Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I think I started that movie years ago when it first came out, and I couldn't get through it because I was like, this is easily bad.
Wow. No, you didn't see it then, because it's incredibly good. I'm sorry.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the movie that you're talking about. Like, I swear to God, I think I did start the movie, and I was like, this blows, and I stopped.
Wow. Have you seen it, Bobby?
I sort of in the same boat as Josh.
What?
In the sense that I started it, but I didn't get to finish it. I think I started it on a night I was super tired, and I fell asleep before like even 10 minutes got into the movie. So I kept meaning to go back and watch it. I just never got back to it though.
No, I mean, I remember it was a movie that I think, sure, when I saw a trailer for it, I was like, God, that looks incredibly fucking stupid. Like, I would never watch that. And I don't remember why I did. But when I did watch it,
I watched it based off of seeing the trailer, and I was like, this looks absolutely hilarious.
Oh, see, I thought it looked terrible. And then, again, I can't remember why I watched it. And I was just like, this is amazingly funny. Like, I thought it was hilarious. I thoroughly enjoy Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I would highly, highly recommend it to anybody. Of course, now I'm not going to challenge you to watch it because it sounds like you've seen half of it.
And I think I've seen about 30 to 45 minutes of it, and I just said, yeah, I'd rather go stare at the wall.
Wow.
Than just watching this movie. Like, I just thought it was just bad. And I like the actors that are in it, too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the two actors, I think they're phenomenal. And I watch a lot of stupid shit. I really do. Like, I don't shy away from watching really bad stuff. I mean, I think that's clear. But I mean, I like Tyler Levine, and I really like Alan Tudyk. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I think he's
Alan Tudyk.
Tudyk, yeah, I think he's hilarious.
That's awesome.
I couldn't get through it, or maybe I did, and I just kind of stopped watching it.
Blocked it out.
Yeah, I don't remember much of it. Yeah, I actually almost feel like I did finish it, but it was so bad that I just was like, yeah, I'm done.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry to break it to you, man.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that, then I'm going to have to say I can't challenge you to anything because I don't have anything in mind. So I'm going to have to go with my other challenge, which is for somebody else.
All right. Well, right back at you. Screw you, David. Jesus.
Sorry, man. I would have to sit here in silence, and everyone would find that boring while I sit and go, what the fuck am I going to challenge Josh to watch? So I promise I will have something. The next time I get challenged, I'm going to Yasha.
It's happening, huh?
That. But in the meantime, Michelle.
Oh, God.
In the meantime,
while you are in the midst of your Outlander marathon, I am going to need you to check out another show, at least a couple episodes, maybe 3 of another show that I'll just be curious to hear what you think about it. And I'm pretty sure you've never seen Dexter.
I've wanted to see Dexter. And
you're talking about the television show?
Yeah, I've wanted to see Dexter, and I never got to because during that time, I guess I didn't have cable. I mean, I don't have cable now, but like, I never saw Dexter. I wanted to, but never did. And it's one of those that's in my queue, and it's been sitting in there forever. But there's just so many other things that are constantly keeps getting shoved back and shoved back and shoved back.
Well, I'm going to challenge you to watch Dexter. I know that show's getting a little dated, I guess. Not really. It hasn't been that long, but I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed Dexter. I'll be curious to hear what you think of it. I will say, if you watch it and you find yourself going, man, I want to keep watching this, but God, there's so much. I think I've said this before. I feel like you can safely go, you know what? Just after the first 4 seasons, you can stop.
Just let it go.
It's a good show, but it definitely has a drop off just like my affinity for West Wing. West Wing, I want pretty much my favorite show of all time, but that really only pertains to the first 4 seasons.
I feel like that happens with a lot of shows, though.
Well, West Wing has an obvious reason with their show runners basically left, but yeah, with Dexter, it's that 4 seasons incredibly good.
Okay, so the first 2 episodes of Dexter,
2 or 3, however many you want to watch, but yeah, at least 2.
Okay,
Dexter it is.
Dexter.
Sorry, Yasha.
Man, whatever.
Unless you hadn't seen Dexter, you want to watch Dexter.
He's seen it.
Cool. I've seen it.
So I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's because you're talking about this, Tucker and Dale and the zombies and whatever. And then I see Zombieland. Like, you're looking at IMDb right now, and I see Zombieland poster. Has anybody ever seen the movie Warm Bodies?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I meant to, but it escaped me.
I guess that was.
I did mean to, though.
I guess that was a review back before the Bobby and Yasha days, because I know I definitely reviewed it on here. So that was a while back.
It was one of those, like, I don't know. It was a while ago, and I wound up going, yeah, let's watch this movie, and I was utterly surprised by that film.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I would say that'd be a good one for Yasha to watch. I think he'd be like, what? And I think he'd be like, I can't believe I'm enjoying this.
Well, hey, when you're done with Dexter.
No, I'll find something. I wonder who am I going to challenge and to what? I'm going to find some obscure Christmas film for you guys.
Why?
Because I can.
Because you can, exactly.
I say why because it sounds like you're trying to go into the territory of challenging us to things that we may not like, and so that's going to set off that war. So I'm like, are you really ready to?
It's really more. It's really more of like I've seen. I don't know what it is in my life, but I've seen a ridiculous amount of Christmas stuff. I've seen the most obscure Christmas TV shows and films. So people are like, what are you talking? Like, I mean, yeah. And I will say of recent, I've slacked off on that, but yeah, I've seen some stuff that people are like, I have no idea what film you're talking about, dude. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's this one really weird B movie. It's about Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the Hallmark ones.
Oh, jeez. Like, please, no.
God.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh, my God.
Jesus, I'm not evil.
Maybe we should all get like 1 veto per year or something.
I'm not evil.
No, I'm not watching that.
I would not make you watch Hallmark Christmas films or what is it? It's not ABC Family anymore. What is it now? What's it called?
Freeform.
I would not make you watch Freeform Christmas. I would not do that to you guys. That's horrible. That's like what you do to people you don't like. That's just mean. Spiteful.
I'm trying to now think of random Christmas movies that maybe people wouldn't have seen, but I don't know what I guess I'll be curious to see what you come up with now.
I'll play around with it. It'll be fun.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
All right. With that, I guess it's time to go. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions and comments. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, and other social media accounts. If you need links to those, go to flickereffect.com. Look over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.